She is not only great in this movie, but she also really does give it her all. All the praise of her potentially getting an Academy Award nomination. Let me tell you this right now.
Yeah. Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail, that I'll never.
What's up, everyone? My Epictastic Nation. Welcome back to my channel. If you are the returning members, if you're a new subscriber, please consider subscribing and welcome. My name is Joshua Drake. Welcome to Epictastic Joshua. I talk movies, TV, music, and anime, and I am giving you guys my thoughts. Finally, after 2 months of been wanting to see this, Anora. Anora, this is written, directed, and edited by Sean Baker. He also helped with the casting and such. And this stars Mikey Madison, Mark Adelstein, Yuri Borisov, Karen Kargolin, and Alexei Serebryakov. Anora is a young exotic dancer from Brooklyn, and she gets her chance at a Cinderella story when she meets and marries the son of an oligarch. Once the news reaches Russia, her fairy tale life is threatened as the parents set out for New York to get the marriage annulled. This is pretty much, you take a mix of Pretty Woman, Uncut Gems, and also, if you're going on the sexy side, a little bit of Showgirls, except for Showgirls, it was actually good.
No, I have not seen that movie.
So going into this was one of my most anticipated movies of the fall. It is December, and I'm very apologize about the lack of content and such. Again, I was really looking forward to this movie because I thought it looked pretty interesting. I wasn't all that excited for it at first, because I just thought, what's this Anora? Who is this? But then I started to see the movie was getting a lot of praise at the 2024 Cannes Film Festival. It was getting a lot of awards and nominations from all these different award ceremonies. And this movie's been hyped up so much to the point where it's been considered for maybe potential Oscar nominations, including its main actress, which we'll get to.
Yes, definitely. Absolutely.
And this was also my first time watching a Sean Baker movie. Now, Sean Baker is a director I've never seen any of his work. I've never seen The Tangerine Dream. I've never seen The Florida Project. I've never seen Red Rocket. So I went into this pretty clean. And originally this came out in October in select theaters and then November worldwide. But unfortunately, I have to wait a little bit longer. Now that I finally seen it, I can give my thoughts on this movie. This is definitely worthy of its praise here. I really was shocked at how much I really liked it. I need to set off 2 disclaimers here. Number one is simple. If you tell me in the comments I was not a fan of this movie, or if you hate this movie, or you think this movie was just too much because of the Uncut Gems type feeling, and with characters just getting hyperactive and screaming and such, and a lot of craziness going on, that's completely fine. You are allowed to tell me that in the comments, and I will gladly understand your point of view. All I ask is that you try to be respectful to people who do like this movie. And let's have a civilized conversation. Tell me what didn't work for you when it comes to this movie. And this is just going to be one of those times where I'm just going to have to say it. If you want someone who is a prude, or you're sensitive to some of the sexual nature of this film in the first couple minutes, you might not want to watch this movie, especially by yourself or with your girlfriend or with your parents or such, because the first couple minutes of this movie, they definitely go there. They do not shy away from it. But let's talk about the movie itself. Starting off with the positives of this movie, easily I will say I was really impressed with Sean Baker's direction. Now again, this is coming from someone who has never seen a Sean Baker movie. I have never seen any of his movies, so I went in with a clean slate. And I gotta tell you, his direction in this movie was actually very solid. I very much love the way he shoots the movie, the way this movie is filmed. You could tell that he did shoot this movie with cameras, but it also feels like he shot this movie on film, like 35mm, which it gives you that feel of what you're going in for, and I very much love that here. And the thing that I really like about this, he's able to take what people who work in the exotic dancing group or sex workers group or such, he does to them what Martin Scorsese did for gangsters. And it's pretty much a crazy film about this here. And I very much like the way Sean Baker wanted to do it here. And I thought it really did do a very good job at what it set out to do. Again, not everyone's going to feel the same way, but I really thought Sean Baker did a very good job in terms of what he's portraying here. Now, it takes you on a story that we've seen this kind of story before in Pretty Woman or Uncut Gems, and pretty much wants to spin it on his own head, but it's take a more grittier version of a Cinderella story and you put it in that type of feel, and I very much really like that side of things, and it just goes for it. So, and not only that, I really think that this movie, of course, I wasn't expecting for how funny it was going to be, and the comedy was very natural. It's very much situational humor, which I really like. I like that type of humor, and I've been someone who's gone on record to say that comedy is kind of dead because of today's climate and such, but no. Watching something like this, even if some people didn't like it, or you don't care for it, or you thought it was okay, I definitely can feel the fact that there is situational comedy there, and I was just laughing. There is a house invasion that goes on in one part of the movie, which is all in the trailers. I was just laughing my ass off. There was a lot of moments I was laughing, but when the movie is going into its dramatic moments, and when it goes to its emotional heartbreak ending, I feel like Sean Baker really did a good job with that. So I was very impressed with his direction, and I was also really impressed with his screenplay. And so I definitely really like the way he chose to go there. He's also edited pretty well for the most part. 2 hours and 18 minutes. The pace is pretty snappy and it's very good there. And I love just how fast paced it goes. It takes its time to get going in the first couple minutes to set up your story, but that's important when it comes to it. And I definitely do think it needs to tell us what exactly we're going to get ourselves into. You know, but once you go into the crazy side of things with Anora and Vanya, and the message of Vanya pretty much being a pantsy-ass, self-egotistical, pretentious douchebag of a mama's boy who just kind of used her and such. That was the heartbreaking situation. But I thought Sean Baker was able to do it in a way that made it accessible to me. Even though this was rated R, you have a lot of skin showing, there's a lot of nudity in the first couple of minutes. It does not shy away from it. So again, if you're one of those people who is sensitive to that type of stuff, don't watch this movie. But I think the way he chooses to go at it is actually well handled. It's not as gratuitous as I thought it was going to be. Nor did I feel uncomfortable with it. He also has a sense of urgency in here, even in the more quieter and mundane moments. And not every movie this guy does that people have seen is not always going to be for everyone, but you know what? This is my first time watching. I thought it was very good. I have to say, let's easily talk about the number one thing in this movie. Mikey Madison.
Correct!
Let me just say this right now. I think Mikey Madison is a rising talent. She's a very solid actress. I've seen her in supporting roles like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Scream 5, and I have not seen her in a TV show. She did better things, but I have seen her in Scream 5 and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and you would think for someone who played a character who gets set on fire in those movies, especially in Scream 5, because she's one of the Ghostface in that movie, she would be typecast here. But no, Sean Baker had her in contact for the role with the first thing comes to mind after seeing her in Scream 5 and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and she is not only great in this movie, but she also really does give it her all. All the praise of her potentially getting an Academy Award nomination. Let me tell you this right now. If she does not get an Oscar nomination for this movie, besides maybe Demi Moore for The Substance, cancel the Oscars right now. It's bad enough you're kind of shutting out Dune Part 2, which is kind of unfair, but you can at least make up for at least Mikey Madison or Demi Moore getting this. But she gives a hell of a performance here. When she has to be funny at points, she is very hilarious. When she goes unpredictable, I definitely really enjoy that. This is a character that you question a lot of her decisions that she makes, especially with the Russian kid who looks a lot, and I mean a lot, like Timothée Chalamet, except Russian. You also question a lot of what she does in that scenario, but you can also see that this is a character that she loves doing her job as an exotic dancer or such. But when it comes for the times for the movie for her to get emotional, she definitely gets emotional. And Mikey Madison, I've watched plenty of interviews of her talking about how passionate she was for this role. And you can definitely see the passion on screen because it's definitely there. And not only that, she not only commits to the role, but she also has to put on a Brooklyn accent because of the character. It lives in New York. Also has to learn to play an exotic dancer in terms of the dancing and such. And also she does have to put herself in certain situations where she's with this Vanya character. And for that, I give her a round of applause because it takes a lot of guts for an actress or an actor to take on parts like this and be willing to go there. And like I said, I can see her definitely getting an Oscar nomination. Especially, there's one scene at the airport which is in the trailer, but watching it in the movie, she just owns it in that scene. And even the final scene, which I won't spoil, when she breaks down into tears, is heartbreaking. And I think they did a really good job at that part. I think she really was fantastic here. The other cast members I think are also very good here. I'm not going to butcher any of these actors' names because they are Russian actors, but I will say this. Mark Edelstein as Ivan or Vanya, despite him being a Russian Timothée Chalamet, I thought he was fantastic. I liked his performance, but I really could not stand this character after the second half, because once shit hits the fan, he just becomes, it's pretty much, you get to see this character for the self-absorbed, pantsy-ass, mama's boy, daddy's boy that he is, who's a rich, spoiled, egotistical that he is. Pretty much the Russian Mark Zuckerberg, if you will. If you've seen The Social Network, you know what I'm talking about. You have Karen Karagulian as Toros, Yura Borisov is Igor, which I thought he had some pretty good moments with Mikey Madison. Also, he was also probably my favorite actor in this as well, besides Mikey Madison. You also have Vach Tomisian as Garnick, Lindsay Norton as Diamond, a lot of other actors in this movie, so everyone did a very good job in the acting department. I think from a technical standpoint, the movie looks very well shot. Again, I can tell this was shot on 35mm film. I'm not sure. I'll have to, hopefully when the Blu-ray comes out, they have some commentary as such. But I really did like the way this movie is shot. It's chaotic, it's colorful, it's also very well shot for the budget it has. It's not a very large budget, but I think for this being a neon production, that budget and this cinematography is put to great use. The editing in this movie is also mostly very well done. I also like the soundtrack here. There's no musical score in here. There's a lot of song choices that they play in this movie, and I also think the song choices are very well chosen for this. Especially in the scenes where you have to see Anora or Mikey Madison play the exotic dancer part, or she's basically bearing it all in those moments. She's fearless here. That's one thing I would give to an actress or an actor who is not afraid to go with that position. No matter how many people is on a closed set or just in front of the on set watching you do that. I give that a lot of credit though. And I will say that when the movie has its happy moments and it goes into something different, it goes there. I love that here. But I love the tender realism that makes it more unpredictable, and that's what I really like about the movie. You're basically seeing Sean Baker explore his version of an American dream. But like I said, it's very gut-punching, it's tragic, but it's also heartbreaking in the last couple minutes of the movie. Especially when you get the marriage annulled, and also when you finally get to see some moments where the movie can be sweet at points, it can be stressful, it can be chaotic, it can be colorful, but I do appreciate that the movie was not afraid to go there, and I'll say that. I don't really have too much criticisms about Anora. I will say one of the things is once we get to the shit hitting the fan, I will say in terms of the editing, it does slow down just a little bit in the hour and 10-minute punch. But once you get through that, the movie starts to pick back up. So I will say that's one of the things I will give a criticism to that is valid. And some of you are not going to like this movie because of the chaotic nature, and if you don't like stories like this or movies like this, and especially with the sexual uncomfortable nature, of course. A few moments where I feel like we could have used a musical score, but again, you have to understand, this is my first time watching a Sean Baker film, so I'm not sure how he does this in some of his other movies, but I really do think that is all my issues. But beyond that, Anora definitely lived up to the hype that it was set out to be. I thought this was a fantastic, stressful, anxiety-filled, unhinged, chaotic experience from Sean Baker with an amazing performance by Mikey Madison that takes the idea of sex workers with a mix of Pretty Woman and Uncut Gems and such, and a little bit of a grittier version of a Cinderella story, and it was able to make it worthwhile on its own. Of course, I will recommend this. If you didn't get a chance to go see this in theaters because it didn't play at your local theater, it's definitely on digital now. You can rent or buy it. Or if you have seen this in theaters, definitely watch it again. This is a very good movie, and this is going to go down as one of my favorites of the decade so far, and one of my favorite movies of the year. If you're someone who did not like this movie and you tell me, Joshua, I couldn't get into this, and trust me, I know a few YouTube creators who didn't like this, or some people on Letterboxd who didn't like it. That's okay, because we all have different tastes, but I thought this was definitely worth the while, and it was definitely absolutely fantastic. I thought Anora was a Spider-Verse worthy movie. I would almost give it a perfect score, just a few pacing issues in the middle by a small midge could have really been fixed, but not take away from the chaotic nature of it. But overall, this movie was brilliant. Give Mikey Madison the Oscar. She's going for it. Well, that's gonna do it for the video that you just checked out. If you're new here, or if you're a returning member, you must really like what I do in terms of talking all this stuff that I like to do. So, if you guys are interested in me talking movies, TV, music, and anime, and doing all sort of creative fun things with me, please consider hitting the channel icon over here, and there will be a video here and a playlist or a different video here. As always, acknowledge me, join the Epictastic, stay Epictastic, and until next time, you guys keep it cool.